are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. This is Mark Rainmakers with Insurance Agency Marketing Services. I want to thank you for taking time to join us here this morning on our presentation with National Guardian Life. With us, we have John Enting. He is one of our top producers here, and he's the one that brought the product to us here a couple years ago. And because of that, we've had some tremendous success, continually see this business on the uptick. And you know, the nice thing about this product, it's very simple. Really, anyone that's in your block is a prospect for this particular product. And so John will go ahead and go through that with us. John, you can hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us, John. What real quick we're going to do is I'll let you know that this is a recorded webinar, so we'll email this over to you here at the conclusion of it, so you have a chance to review it. If you have any questions, you can obviously get a better understanding of the product, and then we're just a phone call away. If you have any questions, we can certainly talk today, or we'll be following up with a phone call next week. Real quick, what I want to do is I want to go through who we are, how we can help you. Obviously, there's a lot of IMOs out there that are vying for your business, and we want to show you what we can do for you and how we can help. And these webinars are just one of the many things that we do to train and help you be successful in what you're doing. First of all, real quick, something that we have really grown in our business is the creative side. And Matt Neal, you'll notice his name on the invitation. You'll probably notice that looks like he's the one doing the webinar today. He's not. He's the one who puts the webinars together for us, along with all the things you can see on the screen here. So if you're in a situation to where maybe your business has not necessarily grown the way you want it to, and maybe part of that is because of the marketing end of it, you can see that there's a number of different things that Matt and his team can do for you, from basic marketing all the way up to television and radio. He's doing a lot of the social media stuff for now, helping advisors to grow their business in that respect, customizing pieces for you. So if you are looking at maybe taking your business to the next level and going more into print and just really branding yourself, getting yourself out there, Matt Neal in our office can help you with that. So please take a minute, give him a call, and find out what he can do to help you grow your business in that respect. Now, for those of you that are brand new with us here today, once you get appointed with the NGL, we'll go ahead and email you out the contract. But once you get up and running, and we're going to look at these levels here as dollar for dollar in single premium life, which would be the product we're talking about here today, or dollar for annuities, or it's a fraction of that for traditional life. But for today's purposes, we're going to talk dollar for the NGL. So let's say you write $100,000 in the trust product. You have an option to choose either a $750 cash bonus or a 2-year subscription to the website newsletter service. And as I just mentioned, that's something that Matt can help you with. So if you'd rather just buy in, get something going, just call and ask for Matt. He'll take care of you there. Or of course, you have the option to take a free iPad. That's a very popular option as well, obviously, because more and more companies are going towards that electronic application, etc. Now, you might wait till you get to the next level, where you can choose either the full Social Security program and 3,000-piece postcard mailing. That's a very popular option as well. That would require you to get a better understanding of Social Security, put you in front of more senior buyers. And you can also buy that if you don't want to wait to earn it. You can ask for anyone in the annuity marketing department. They can help you with that. Or, of course, then there's a $2,000 matching marketing money to promote your business, or a free gift card. If you want to wait again to the next level. Now, of course, if you claim one level, then that takes you off the table here for any future levels. But the final level, we have two gentlemen here, Matt Gill and Dave Pimper, are both top producers with us as well. They do seminar selling and do a tremendous amount of business, and they're really good at what they do. Our upcoming training academies, they have a chance to show everyone there what they do, and you'll have an opportunity here as well to attend that upcoming event in February. But your options here are either to take the 5,000-piece mailing and seminar coaching with Matt Gill, or 4,000-piece mailing and seminar coaching with Dave Pimper. Again, just like some of these other options, if you wanted to buy into their program, you can certainly do that. Or if you choose not to do either one of those two, then there's the Ritz-Carlton Travel Rewards. You can just make your own personal getaway. Okay, and here we are, our academy that I just mentioned to you. What we do here, and I'm going to tell you this real quick. Unfortunately, it looks like that poll's not set up. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you, if you're interested in this, just type Academy in the question box. This way I know that we can email you out everything that you need. We'll have an agenda. We'll also have an application. we're going to allow about 45 to 50 advisors to come to this upcoming event in February. It's the 10th, 11th, and 12th. And we're going to go ahead and move through this quickly, but you can see from the things on the screen, these are some of the topics that we cover. John is generally there. He does talk about this. He has a chance to maybe answer any questions you have and help you on a one-on-one basis. But we have advisors, we have professionals coming from across the country to share some of their experiences, some of their sales ideas. We talk about some of the carriers as well. They'll be there. We'll be there. We'll put on some different presentations as well. Now, what we do is we cover your airfare. We cover your meals. We cover your lodging. So there's really no expense to you, just time out of the office. And so if you're interested in attending this upcoming event, what I'd like for you to do is just type in Academy or type in yes in the question box. That way we know to go ahead and email you the application and the agenda. Now, one thing to note is that we have generally 4 of these a year, and the first one is scheduled in February, so we'll probably have 3 additional ones. So if you're interested in attending these events, maybe the February doesn't work for you, but maybe one in the future does, then we'll keep you abreast of the upcoming dates via email and phone call. So just by marking Academy or yes in the question box, then we'll know that we should contact you and get some additional information out to you. So yeah, lots of people putting in the yes in the Academy here, so that's great. Look forward to visiting with you about that here in the very near future. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on. Unfortunately, without that poll, it makes things a little bit more interesting, but that's okay. If you, at any point in time, if you want to just type it in there, go right ahead and do that. Or, of course, at the end of the webinar, if you want to give us a call, we'll go ahead and we'll get your information. We'll email it out to you. Now, here's a couple of different things that the referred producer program is really a neat, unique way for us to say thank you for the referrals that you send in to us. Just like you in your business, you love to get referrals. In fact, some of the referrals can be your best business that you get in. And John and I were just talking about this before the webinar, how he's had such great success in getting referrals. But if you send a referring agent to us and we get them contracted, we will send you a check for $50 just for the contract. Every single time that they write a piece of business, what we'll do is we'll put money into an account. And at the end of the quarter, we will send you a check for the business that they write. Now, you're not in the commission business, nor are they. They're not taking a commission hit. It's the same street level contract. It's just our way of saying thank you. So you can see from an example, if you refer us 3 agents that write maybe $1 million in single premium life and annuities combined, that's $6,000 in cash for you. And that's as long as your referral is writing business. We have referrals in-house right now that have been writing business with us for over 10 years. And the advisors that have sent them over have collected in excess of $10,000 in checks each year. So it's a great way for us to say thank you for sending the referral over to us. So keep that in mind. If someone comes to mind, just give us a call and we'll go ahead and contact them. Finally, here, there's the marketing reimbursement. This is for you. Every time you write a piece of business, what we do is we put money into a reimbursement account for you. So in addition to your commissions, what will happen is, let's just say, for example, this is a perfect opportunity to talk about this. A lot of advisors out there are putting together Christmas parties for their clients. And so what happens is, let's say John has a Christmas party and he's going to spend $2,000. When you send your receipt to us, we will send you a check for 50% of that expense. So in other words, we'd send a check for $1,000. Now that's assuming that you have that amount of money in your account. But if you're writing business with us, it'll continue to accumulate as long as you want it to, as long as you're doing business with us. So keep that in mind. It's a great way to find a partner such as Insurance Agency Marketing Services to support you not only from the commission aspect of things, but also to help you grow your business through marketing. A lot of advisors are using this for their seminars each month as well. Okay, real quick, we have the Fairmont Empress. This is our top producers escape. John's been on those as long as I've known John, and even before I even got here. So John could probably speak to this as well as anybody. But our trips, I personally was in the field. I qualified for trips, but I'll tell you what, no one does it better than we do when it comes to these trips. You can see the qualification is based on every piece of business that you write with us. Now, some of you might specialize in one product line or the other. And if you look at the bottom here, you can see that each product is broke out based on annuity premium, for example, is $2 million. Single premium life is 1.5. So the point is no matter what you write with us, it all goes towards this this trip, which the qualification period started January 1st, goes till June 30th of next year, so there's still plenty of time to qualify. We're going to Victoria, British Columbia, August 3rd through the 7th. John, you've certainly enjoyed those trips, haven't you?
They're fantastic. I wouldn't miss them.
Okay, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn this over to John, let him talk about this product. And John, thanks again for taking time out of your busy day. I know you've got your own business you're running up there, but certainly appreciate your help today.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate you having me. First and foremost, today we're going to talk about the National Guardian Life Funeral Trust funding and how we use that in our business. And just a little background on me, I run a financial services business strictly with insurance products. So we're doing annuities and life insurance, and also using the NGL Funeral Trust funding method as well. So what we'll cover today is we're going to talk a little bit about the opportunity that exists with the funeral trust and the estate planning trust that's offered through National Guardian. We'll talk about the trust themselves and how they're utilized, the product that's used to fund that trust, and then we'll have some presentation ideas, and we'll talk a little bit about the company, National Guardian Life itself. But first what I'll do is talk to you a little bit about the opportunity. I have a very good friend of mine who's very successful in this business. He's been a mentor to me. And about 10 years ago, he had asked me if I had ever heard of the funeral trust, and I hadn't. And he said, well, would you like to find a way to add, 50 to 100,000 to your bottom line, just doing what you're doing on a daily basis without a bunch of extra effort? And so that kind of that piqued my interest. But he also told me that, an opportunity that's not acted on would always just be an opportunity. So he said he could give me the information, but it was up to me to dig into it and run with it. And like anything that's new, it took me a little while to get it integrated into the business, but we were certainly successful in doing that. And I just like to share with basically anybody I can help to show them how they could implement that into their business as well. You're all in the planning business of some sort. You may specialize in annuities or life insurance or college planning. But whatever that is, things don't just happen. You have to look at what your options are. You have to plan and put that plan in place. And then, of course, you have to save to get to the goal. And funeral and final expenses aren't any different. Someone is going to need to determine the services and pay the bill when you pass away. And I had something that happened to me in my personal life. My father passed away on January 21st of 2011. And I wasn't super close with my dad. My parents divorced when I was young, but I found myself sitting in a funeral director's office, and I was getting questions thrown at me like, what was your dad's mother's maiden name? Where's his papers for the military? And it was a lot of questions that I didn't have answers to. And I really found out the value that what I was doing for people in the field, it was really at one point going to make a difference in their lives, because you either plan for this stuff while you're alive, or you leave it to the survivors to do afterwards. And a lot of times that can become a mess. Mark, you can go ahead to the next slide there if you would. The NGL product offers a couple different choices. They have a plan and pay for the funeral, which they call pre-need. This would be offered through the funeral homes, where people say they're going to go in and prepay for their funeral. And then you also have what's called the final expense side of it, which is you're paying for the anticipated expenses up front, and that's the side we work on. That would be the insurance agent side. So if you talk to a client about how much a funeral costs, we always ask them this question, and we like to let them answer it because a lot of people have different experiences. It says on here that the average funeral is $9,500, but if you ask a client that's had somebody pass away recently, you'll hear numbers anywhere from $12,000 to $15,000, and the importance of letting them answer that is when you get to the point to try to implement the plan with them, then you're looking at a higher dollar amount that you can pick up while you're in the house to fund the funeral for them. So there is a big opportunity here. In a national survey, 72% thought it was a good idea to pre-plan their funerals, but 64% of the people hadn't taken any steps to do so. Mark, you're a slide behind on me there.
There we go.
Your clients are no different. You're meeting with the same people I'm meeting with, regardless of what you're specializing in. Most of the agents that I'm working with are in the either pre-retiree or retiree marketplace. And that market's, it's pretty big. Over the next 20 years, 80 million people are going to file for those Social Security benefits. And by 2025, there's going to be twice as many seniors as today. And the reason I point that out is if you're in this business for the long term, as we know, the year 2025 is going to get here pretty quickly. Time has a way of getting by us. And if you have this in place and you know what you're doing with it, it'll really give you a big opportunity when you're really seeing those flow of people coming out in the years to come. Now, 43% of all Americans older than 65 are going to need some type of nursing care. That national average cost is over $70,000 a year. And many people who need long-term care are going to have to qualify for Medicaid. And the reason I say that is if you talk to most of your clients or even look at the national studies, about 93% of people out there don't have any type of long-term care protection, which provides a big opportunity when you're talking about this product. And I was telling Mark when we were on the phone earlier, I actually went out and did some reviews the last few days up north Ohio and wrote some National Guardian Life, and I'm going to share with you where that came in when we talked about the Medicaid planning. So how does all of this fit together? What the insurance products and funeral trusts do with National Guardian Life is they're going to give that financial protection of life insurance, but it's also going to give the client advantages of an irrevocable funeral trust, which will give them some protection from that Medicaid spend down. They can plan ahead by permanently setting the funds aside that they'll need for the final expenses. And then they're going to use the trust at National Guardian Life to hold the funds for the funeral expenses, and so effectively they're spending down their assets ahead of time, and a lot of times this can help prevent them from having that money counted as money during Medicaid considerations. Now we'll talk a little bit about the trust themselves. The National Guardian Life Irrevocable Trust, they give the client protection from creditors. The benefits that pay out are 100% income tax free. The funds are available immediately, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we get through here. The trusts are free. So when you talk to a client about this, they don't have to go get an attorney involved and pay an exorbitant fee. The company is going to provide this trust for the client. Every client is going to qualify for the trust assignment regardless of health. The death proceeds are going to be used for funeral expenses. Again, they're going to avoid probate cost and delay. And then the funds are totally portable. And by that, what I mean is, I do a lot of seminars, I do a lot of annuity productions, and some of my clients that I did business with early on have now relocated down into Florida, the Carolinas, and so this program is portable. It can be used anywhere they're living at, and that's a big plus versus prepaying for something at a funeral home in the town where you live today and then moving and not having that benefit where you move to. So all this together, it is an unbeatable team. Everybody says that when they're talking about their product, but we've not only implemented and used it, but we've had clients pass away with them because we've been doing them so long, and I can definitely assure you that they work. So here's how they compare against traditional savings instruments, and you'll see up there the CD at the top where the answers are no all the way across, and then you compare that to the irrevocable funeral trust at the bottom where you're getting yeses all the way across the bottom. So it's a very valuable planning tool. The key thing is to be able to explain that to the client and convey that that it's in their best interest. So here's just a little chart of how it works, and we actually use this when we're talking to our clients. We have this printed out and in a binder. And basically what's happened is we're going to find the money wherever that money's coming from, and that's going to be the funds that we use to pre-plan. That will buy them a single premium life insurance policy. It's guaranteed issue, whether they're healthy or not. Then what will happen is we're going to assign that policy to the irrevocable funeral trust. That death benefit is going to grow in there at 2%, and it'll pay out 100% tax-free. It's key to tell the client when this money goes in there, and we have that word irrevocable underlined, that money's not coming out until somebody passes away. So once that money goes in there, we know what we're setting it up for. When a client passes away, the funeral home gets a form faxed to them from the company. They fill it out. They fax it directly back to the company, and within 48 hours, that money is in the hand of the funeral home. If there are any excess dollars from the funeral trust, those excess funds are paid to the estate, and so that's how we do it with the actual funeral trust. So there are a couple different types of trust, and I want to explain what they are because this is where they become really important in your planning part of the business. So the NGL Funeral Expense Trust is, most states you can put up to $15,000. Once you put it in there, that $15,000, and that's per spouse or per person, that money is immediately removed from accountable asset, and it gives them the ability to exclude that asset if they're trying to qualify for Medicaid or SSI when they're applying immediately. Then what happens, the trust will pay the funeral cost, and then any excess funds, again, will go to the estate of the insured. So with National Guardian Life, you're allowed to have a maximum of $100,000 face amount of insurance. So you could have $15,000 in the funeral expense trust, and you could have another $85,000 in the estate planning trust. Now with the estate planning trust, it works a little bit different. When you put the money in there, after it's set in there for 5 years, it will be excluded from any Medicaid look back, and you can name a beneficiary to it. So that money pays directly to a beneficiary 100% tax-free and never makes it back to the estate.
John, there was a question here from
Sure.
a John. He says, if excess funds are paid to the estate, are they taxed instead of the beneficiary being paid directly?
No, they are not. They're still going to be tax-free dollars, and depending, again, I have my background's in estate planning, so our clients are all pretty tight on things not going through probate. I know in Ohio, if there's a few dollars that get paid to the estate, we can file what's called simplified, not administrative probate forms for the client. It takes about 2 weeks to get that money back to the family. So, but to answer that question, it's still paid out tax-free. So a lot of questions I get from potential agents that use this is, well, how do I know which trust to use? And this is nice because it just really gets to the meat of the subject. If you're using the funeral expense trust, you might be talking about crisis planning. This can be written on somebody that's laying in a nursing home. That's spending down their assets. You could go into the nursing home and you could write a funeral expense trust, and up to that $15,000, and that would be excluded for them from their spend down. Or maybe you have a client who all they want to know is that, hey, I just want my funeral expenses paid for. I just want to put $10,000, $12,000 in there. I want it to grow at 2%. And I want to forget about it and know that if something happens to me, my family's got the funds there to take care of the funeral. Now, on the estate planning trust side, maybe Medicaid is a non-issue. Maybe they're a younger couple, healthy, and they're just looking at putting money away today so that they know they get through that 5-year look-back period, and then that money is sitting there growing at 2%, and regardless if they ever go into a nursing home, that wealth will pass on down to their family easily. And that's a real opportunity, and I'll talk a little bit about the case I had yesterday with the lady with the certificate of deposit and how we used the estate planning trust to get that deal done.
There's a couple questions that popped up here, John. If you want, I can go ahead and one of them, and I know you're going to cover this, but just asking, are there any funeral-related expenses such as travel, or other incurred expenses not payable by the trust. So I know we'll be hitting that in here in a bit, right?
Yeah, yes, and they will cover for the travel.
Okay.
And so to answer that, but yeah, we'll have a list up there of everything it covers here in a few minutes.
And then is this product only for single pay? And what if a client wants a traditional annual pay final expense policy that pays beneficiaries?
Okay, they have that plan through. We don't really talk about that, but you can actually use their final expense product and assign it to the trust. So you can have the best of both worlds there. I will tell you in my practice, and for today's purposes, I will only talk about the single pay because that is what we write in our business. But they do have 3 and 5 pay programs that are available if you have a client that says, hey, I want to do that, but I want to put 5 or 10,000 in a year for the next 3, 5, 7 years. But they do have that as well.
And then, so Medicare, the question is, so Medicare goes after transfers within those 5 years of a person being covered under Medicaid?
Yeah, so what would happen in this, that's a good question. So what would happen in this, let's say you're 3 years into it, that person goes in, they start spending down their assets. What would happen is that money would still sit in the trust, but when it paid out to the beneficiary after the death of the person in the nursing home, if they owed the state money, if the state indeed Medicaid had kicked in and they were paying the bills, they could come back on that beneficiary. One of the things I say, most of the people we work with, they're people with assets. And so typically, even if they're paying their own way, they've got assets there that will get them down the road a little bit and hopefully keep that clock ticking. And of course, I have a relationship with an elder law attorney, so we would be hooking our client up with him to preserve as much as we could. And by the way, elder law attorneys, since we're talking about that, are fantastic referral machines for this product. And I'll talk about that here in a little bit. So we'll talk a little bit about the product itself. This is the actual life insurance component. It's called the NGL Asset Guard. It's a fixed rate product, and then you can combine it with putting it in the funeral trust. You get the increasing death benefit, and then you get that protection option for final expense planning. There are some individual state limits, so I see there's a lot of people on here, so I'm sure you're spread out all over the place, and we'll put that up. I can speak for Ohio. We can put up to $15,000 into a funeral trust and another $85,000 into the estate planning trust. I always recommend that it's a good idea before you start writing this product to follow up with either National Guardian Life or your state and make sure that the limits haven't changed and that you can still put the amounts that you're seeing on the screen here, because as we all know, when government has their hands in things, things change, and so you want to make sure you're always with the most current information. So again, we talked a little bit about the maximum amount that you can put into it. Again, I can speak on Ohio because that's where we do the majority of our business. We can put that $100,000 away as long as we're separating it properly into the two trusts. Here's your expenses that are paid from the funeral trust, and these get paid out first. So these are pretty much covers everything there. You can see the transfer of deceased is included in there. So for today's purposes, and not to keep everybody on here until Christmas Day, we're going to talk about the single pay only. You have minimum face amount of $500 and a maximum face amount of $100,000. When you see the growth rate there, we always use the 2% growth rate for our client. When you can actually choose the growth rate. We like to be fair to everybody, so we just do 2% across the board to everyone. There's one health question on the application, and it is either a yes or no question. You're going to either get a standard or a guaranteed issue. Single pay, 0 to 99 years old, so you can see just about anybody you would be talking to would be a candidate. Obviously, the older they are, the less the commission. But that's a good thing because at 99, there's always a chance for someone passing away and having a chargeback. So lower commission's a good thing. So one health question, and we'll show it to you here in a minute, but if they answer no to the health questions, you're going to get them issued standard. If they say yes, they're going to get guaranteed issue. The big difference in that's going to be in your compensation. It'll be a lower compensation for the guaranteed, and obviously for the standard, it'll be the top compensation that you have. Again, the money's going to increase daily with simple growth, and the single pay is immediate full death benefit. So talk a little bit about the other product features. This is just a bell and whistle that someone can add on, but it's $3,000 of face amount or lower. So if the client bought a $3,000 single premium from you for a $10 one-time fee, they can cover all the children and grandchildren of the base insured. It only covers one of them. So the first grandchild or child that would pass away, then the rider would make a payment to them of that face amount. And again, for $10 you can add it on there. That's totally up to you if you want to spend your time on that or not. So I know one thing. I am in this business for the long term. I'm going to be in it for 30 years here coming up next year. And I know that the paperwork has gotten to be cumbersome on transactions, whether it's life insurance or annuities. The one thing that I will absolutely tell you will love about this National Guardian Life product, could not be easier to do. You basically have two pieces of paper and a replacement form. In Ohio, it's we have to send in the replacement form regardless, and that's it. So you fill out those papers and you're done. So if you don't like cumbersome paperwork, you'll love this particular program. That's what the application looks like. You can see the statement of health question on there. Basically, if they've been on oxygen, hospitalized, are they currently receiving hospice care in a nursing home? And then it goes through congestive heart failure. You can see all the things on there. If they answer yes to any of those questions, then again, they're going to be a guaranteed issue. If they answer no, then they will be standard. That's the bottom of that same page where you sign off and put your agent number to make sure you get paid correctly. If you split cases, I have a right-hand man that sometimes we do some splits on stuff, so there's a place back there. If you want to split the case with someone, you can certainly do that as well. There's the assignment form for the funeral trust. It just basically goes through, it's a disclosure, and you can read it. It's basically telling when you put the money in, it's not coming out until you pass away, and that's exactly how I explain it to the client. At the bottom, if you had somebody, that's good. You're right where you need to be there, Mark. If you had somebody who they wanted to, what happens is once you buy the policy and put it in the trust, there's a 45-day gap before it goes into the trust. If you want to waive that gap, you can sign this and they will place it into the funeral trust that day as soon as it's issued for you. And that would be somebody that's maybe in a nursing home or getting ready to try to qualify for Medicaid, and you didn't want that money showing up at all on the form. So again, we're going to talk a little bit about presenting it to clients because this is where the rubber meets the road. So I'm going to share a little story with you. I have a lot of clients all over Ohio, and I spent the last couple days up doing client reviews. And, when you go do client reviews, a lot of agents that I speak to that come to the academy, they know they need to go do them. Sometimes they'll put them off and do them over the telephone. But I've found that getting back into that house can be very productive. I went up over the last couple days. I made about $4,000 in commission doing the funeral trust and the estate planning trust on some client reviews. There was some new money that came up there. So I would tell you that when you're doing your client reviews, this is a great program to have. so that if you've already feel like you've got everything in the house locked up, this would be an opportunity to maybe help them out and get paid for doing your review. There you go. Also, you've got the present funeral trust funding. You want to stress the benefits of planning ahead. It can be used with any funeral home, and we're going to talk a minute here about the 1035 exchange on existing life insurance. Two of the cases I wrote yesterday were using this theory. So a lot of your clients don't know that when they die, that the insurance company does not pay them the cash value and the death benefit from their life insurance policy. So I'm sure many of you have went in and asked a client to have everything out because you're going to review it, and they bring out those old musty policies that they've owned for 43 years, and you just kind of brush them aside. Well, what happened is I'd mentioned this to this client. I said, hey, you had this old life insurance. When I come up to do your review, I want you to call the company and find out what your cash values are. So in this particular case that I did yesterday, between the couples, they had about $20,000 in cash value, and the death benefit was about $25,000. So as we went through, I explained to them if they got sick and went into a nursing home, they're going to make them spend that cash value, and that really they only had about $5,000 worth of insurance because $20,000 is their money, and the insurance company is going to pay the $25,000 death benefit. So what we did is we 1035 exchanged the cash value over into the estate planning trust. And so what now we've done is we're protecting that $20,000, and in 5 years it'll be off the books. It's growing at 2%. So if you look at those old policies, and you'll find a lot that the cash value is close to the death benefit amount. It's a great story to share with the client that, hey, let's get the money protected and not leave it out there in the event that you'd get sick and have to go and need it for nursing home care. And then, of course, you always got to close the sale. And again, you got to know the product. It's an easy one to learn, but if you can walk them through the process, like the client said to me yesterday on the one I did with the CD, she basically looked at me and said, this is a no-brainer. And, those are words that we want to hear. So where do you find the money? Again, the client I did yesterday with the CD, just a quick story. She's a single woman. If she gets sick and go to the nursing home, all bets are off. She would have to start spending all of her assets. She does not have any type of long-term care. Her sole beneficiary is her sister. And her sister's not in the greatest health either. So she asked me what we should do with the CD. I already have a lot of money in annuities for her. So I said, hey, why don't we take the CD, put it into the estate planning trust, get 2% on it, which we know the bank's not going to pay you 2%, and start the clock ticking on the money because it's going to your sister one way or another. This lady doesn't need the CD money to live off of. So again, once I walked her through it and how that would work and affect her and her sister, again, she told me, hey, that's pretty much a no-brainer. Wrote me a check for the amount of the CD, and we'll get that processed and up to National Guardian Life today. Again, one of the questions I like to ask people is if you were to have died today, how would you pay for your funeral that would happen tomorrow? And a lot of times you'll hear a client say, well, I got money sitting over in a CD or a money market that I've set aside for my funeral expenses. Well, that's a great opportunity to say, well, if you leave it there, it's an asset that can be attached. If we get it over here and that's the purpose, we're going to get it protected. We move a lot of money into this plan through that method. And then the other thing I want to talk to you about is if you're an annuity producer out there like I am, once you get money in annuities, unless you've taken a trail on your annuity, that annuity sometimes becomes what I call dead money. You've made a commission on it maybe 5 or 6 years ago. It's just sitting there growing for the client. They're not even taking out their penalty-free withdrawals. This is a good time during your review to ask them a couple questions. Number one, I always ask them, do you think taxes are going to go up in the future or go down? And you all know what that answer is. They always say they're going to go up. And so I asked them, doesn't it make sense why we know what the tax rates are to get that penalty-free withdrawal out, to have the company withhold the taxes, and let's start moving some of this money over to where we can get some protection on it through National Guardian Life. We also do quite a bit of money into their program through that scenario. So they have the money. It doesn't always have to be new money, but you've got to ask the right questions to find it. So National Guardian Life does a really good job with their brochures. They're simple, they're easy to understand. The two that we use are the ones on either side of the Understanding Medicaid, so the Estate Planning Trust and the Funeral Trust. These are made available to you from National Guardian Life. You can even have them print your company information on them for you. So National Guardian Life has been around for over 100 years. You know, I base my experience with insurance companies on not what happens today, but what happens in the future with my clients' money. You know, I've been writing this plan for a long time. I've had clients pass away. I can assure you, everything I'm telling you of the process of ease of getting the money back out to where it goes, whether the funeral home or the family, they make it one of the easiest processes to work with. So plenty of assets. Again, everybody wants to know, you know, the strength of the company. I always look at, obviously, you know, their claims paying ability, what their assets look like, and also that history of being in business. And these guys do a really good job with everything they do. So have a nice website, National Guardian Life. You can go out there and look around. They have one for you, the producer, and then they also have one that the consumer can take a look at. And my big thing with this program is, you know, why sell the product? And the reason for it goes back to one of the first slides we saw. You know, everybody's thinking about it, but nobody's taking action on it. So at some point, they're going to do this pre-planning. They're either going to go to a funeral home, and that funeral director is going to talk them into doing it. And you can find many articles on funeral homes that have misabused the funds or have went out of business and left clients that have prepaid at a funeral left holding the bag. And you can tell them how National Guardian Life's an insurance company that's been there for 100 years and is going to continue to be there. Definitely an excellent income opportunity. I can tell you that this adds about $60,000 to $100,000 a year to our business. And that's if you like getting paid, I will tell you that when you send your application up to National Guardian Life, as long as you have it in good order, which is very simple to do, it's an easy app. I will overnight these policies, or I'll two-day them today. They will get them on Monday. My commissions for the cash will be in my checking account on Wednesday. The funds are portable. Again, they can go to any funeral home provider, regardless if the client bought it here and moved to Florida. A great company to work with. Again, you're giving the client the peace of mind, and at the end of the day, that's what you're out there for. And if you don't like paperwork, I'm telling you, you'll love the program. 2 pieces of paper, and that's pretty much it. And if you don't do it, someone else will. You know, it's a real simple question. Have you prepaid your funeral? If they tell you no, you've just opened up a door to a pretty good conversation. So just to give you an idea on the compensation, if you just had 2 couples a month, so if you have a book of business and you just go out and do reviews and run with this idea, you could add $40,000 to your annual bottom line pretty easily. And that depends, too, on the age of the client. The younger the client, the higher the commission. And I think we have a commission schedule coming up here that will kind of give you an idea of what that looks like. So there, if you focus on that top block, the face amount, 0 to 60,000 on a single pay, you know, if you write a 65-year-old or 61 to 65 and they're a standard issue, you know, it's a 14.41% commission. And, you know, if you look at what commissions are in our industry today, if you sell annuities, this is a pretty good compensation program for a relatively easy sale and to help your client out. The big thing is, the challenges I hear from agents is, well, you know, I'm not familiar with this. Well, look back at what you do in your business. If you're an annuity producer, or maybe you're a big life producer, or maybe even long-term care, there was a day when you didn't know anything about any of that stuff. But what you did is you dug into it and you kept getting better and you read and you implemented and you met with clients and you probably made some mistakes, but you learned from them, and here you sit today. You're on this conference call trying to grow your business. So learn the product. Remember, your clients believe in it. They probably don't even know you can offer it to them. You're going to stress those benefits of pre-planning, and the gentleman that works for me, who he also does a very good job of producing with this company, I tell him every client every day, when you talk to a client, if we haven't done business with them with National Guardian Life, then we need to continually bring it up. And once you do a plan, it is a very good time to ask for a referral for another family member that may need that help as well. So we're not going to go through this. This is their guaranteed issue whole life. They do have that product. Mark can get you some information on it. I'm sure he'd be happy to do that for you. Again, it's the National Guardian Final Expense. Their tagline, it's about people, and it truly is. It's about doing a good job for the people that you're working with and that have put their trust into you. So what we do at our company is we have what's called a guide for beneficiaries. I developed this about, it's been 6 years ago now. We had just a little background on it. We had a case where a client had died, and we thought we were going to get to work with the beneficiaries. When we reached out to the beneficiaries, we had found that they went into the bank, and the banker said, don't worry, we can take care of everything for you. And we didn't get to work with any of the money, not even the annuities that we had sold them, and that didn't sit well with me. So I developed this guide, and we try to get it into every client's house. And basically, it's a good review. We take it into the client. We say, hey, this is for your beneficiaries. We're going to update all your financial information. We update all their data for them. We had a lot of successes when we first implemented this plan. The first year that we did it, we picked up over $1.5 million in additional annuity premium, about $200,000 in traditional single premium life, and about $80,000 roughly in National Guardian Life. So it was good for us, but what it also did is we now had a document in the house that if one of the person died, they knew that we were the advisor that they needed to call. So we make this available, the guide for beneficiaries. Once you're appointed with NGL, we can provide you with a digital fillable document that you can go out and create this, and this is what ours looks like. It just says, obviously Intang Financial Services, providing financial peace of mind since 1987. But it is a guide, and when those beneficiaries see that, they know who to call. And we obviously want them to call us. If you look at the guide, it's pretty simple. We're just looking to update all their basic information for them. And then if you go to that next page and look at question 8, it says, have you prepaid your funeral? And it's a real simple question. If they tell you no, then you've got a direction to run with that. But if you don't ever ask the question, you won't know and you won't have the opportunity. So that's pretty much it. I know I ran through it. Again, it's like anything else. We've been doing it so long, it's kind of second nature to me, but I'm certainly open for any questions that anybody might have that I might be able to help with.
Okay, there are a few questions here. So the first one is, how much is allowed to keep in a spend down for Medicaid? I mean, in the insurance, I wonder, Garner? How much is allowed to keep in spend down for Medicaid?
Yeah, in the life insurance, I mean, in Ohio, anything over $1,500, they'll make them spend it down. Okay. And Mark, I'm going to touch on that just a second, and I'll take another question. But I formed a relationship, and I would encourage everybody to do this, whether you're doing this plan or you're not. Find a good elder law attorney in your community. Take them to lunch. Tell them what you do for a living. Because what you're going to find out is these elder law attorneys, when people come in to do their Medicaid planning with them, they will tell them that they are allowed to go prepay their funeral. And isn't it nice when they know that you don't have to send, they don't have to send them to the funeral home, that they can send them to you and you can do this trust. And once you explain the benefits to the elder law attorney, I have one I have a relationship with, it can really prove to be valuable to you.
Good. Okay, good advice there. Question, what expenses have you observed that were not covered? Has there been any?
I don't hear anything from the clients. We've had nothing but happy experiences. I've never had anybody come back to me and give me tell me nothing was covered. So now I'm not saying there might not have been a few incidentals that weren't. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the experience for them with this was so good that they obviously didn't feel it was a need to say anything to me about it, if that makes sense.
Yep. And then there was a question about the commission. We went through the commission schedule, Joe. Unfortunately, each age is going to be a different comp, so I can certainly email that over to you here with the contract. And what I'm going to do real quick, I'm thinking about it, John, is I'm going to put this poll out there. So if you're interested in getting contracted with NGL, you just got to mark yes, and we'll continue to address any questions here. Can the apps be faxed, John?
Yes, they can. Yep. Now we don't, and and this is just me, everybody out there, but I'm big on being able to track my stuff. For the U.S. Postal Service, it's $5 to do a 2-day, and I just, that's what we do. I never fax my apps in, but you can certainly do it.
And here's the other thing too, is what we like to do is we like to have the business come through our office so that way we can scan it and keep it, and just in case if a form is misplaced, we've got a copy of it here on record. So that certainly helps you. John, who do you think the nearest competitors are for this product?
The nearest competitors?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, to be quite frank with you, I wouldn't know who the competitor is. I've been doing business with National Guardian Life for so long, and I believe in what they do, that I don't even look at the other companies.
Okay.
I know there's a couple out there that do it. Again, I'm not familiar with what they do and how they do it.
Okay. The question is, the webinar recorded? Yes, it is, and I'll shoot that out to you here after the presentation here. Is there a PP presentation that we can, a PowerPoint presentation we can use on our iPads or laptops?
Yes.
Okay. Marketing ideas other than elder law attorneys. Do you have any other ideas, John, besides visiting with elder law attorneys?
Well, we have this conversation a lot, and I would tell anybody that's not using it now, yeah, start with your clients. We don't do mailers, we don't do it. We get referrals on this, and I do a lot of seminars during the year because we have a big annuity practice. And so every time we meet with one of those new prospective clients, we always ask them, have you prepaid your funeral? So that's where we generate ours, but we do a lot of it off of annual reviews as well. And the nice thing with an annual review, obviously the people like you, they trust you, and you've given them advice before that they've relied on, and they're more likely, while you're learning the product, if you stumble here or there, you're getting a little bit of a leeway with that client. So that's where I would recommend you start, is look in your own backyard.
Yep, absolutely. Let's see. Looks like someone said they just recently sent in their contracting. Do you send out an initial writing packet from you? We can certainly talk about that after the webinar, Garner, because we can email whatever it is you need. If it's brochures, you can certainly print those off if you like, those the color brochures that John mentioned, and then, of course, the application for your state as well.
Yeah, and Mark, on the brochures, I would recommend anybody is just go online and order them. So that you get the ones that are glossy, and they'll send them to you. And I think they charge like maybe 10 cents for a brochure, and I believe you can get your name on it as well. We just stamp our names on it, but I think they'll do it for you if you'd like.
Okay. John Brad is asking to do a seminar. Who do you get a mailing list for something like this? I mean, is there a certain age?
I mean, as far as an age is concerned, I think anybody that's getting near retirement or in retirement, because that's when my clients tell me that everything really starts hitting them. That's when they start thinking about it, and So I would say if you're looking for a list and you're just going to do a seminar, you either go with one of the seminar companies, or if you're going to try to do a smaller mailing yourself, IAMS has a nice service where they can provide you with a list of that target market that you're looking for in your area.
I'm
Is that
glad.
correct, Mark?
That is
You
correct.
still do that?
Yeah, in fact, I'm glad you opened that up, because what we do, Brad, is when you submit a contract with us, so if you get contract with NGL today, what we'll do is we'll get you with a certain individual in our office here who can help you to get that list. And we can do anywhere from 50 to 100 names, say age 65 to 70 in a certain demographic area that you want to work. So we can narrow it down by 3 different points of interest and get you a list every month. But you'd have to be appointed
And
with us to do that.
and Brad, just I think that's what you said his name was. I can't see it on my
Yeah.
screen, but and Brad, just so you know, the number one producer, which I'll see at their sales conference here in April. He's a gentleman out of Indiana, and he does these little seminars at a hotel. I think he does them like 3 or 4 times a month. He doesn't feed the people, and he just puts on his he basically does it on a letterhead piece of paper and sends it to the people, and it basically says, don't go broke in a nursing home, learn what your options are. And then I think he has a relationship with an elder law attorney that he can direct the people to. But that's how he starts his conversation on this, and he's their top producer. I think he'll finish at about $1.5 million in premium with National Guardian.
That's a lot. The question is about the webinar and slides available for review. Yes, we'll be emailing this over to you here after the presentation this morning. And then a question about products being available in all states. It's not in all states. There's probably, maybe 2 or 3 states that do not have it. And it will vary by state, too, as far as the maximum. So, George, I can get you that. Once the webinar is over here, I can let you know what the maximum amount is in your state. Okay. Looks like the question box is empty. If you have any other questions, go ahead and put those in for John here real quick. And let's go up and look and see about the poll here. Well, great response. A number of you interested in getting appointing. Yeah, so if you change your mind after the webinar here and you want to get appointed, you want to know more, you can certainly call and ask for anyone in the life marketing department, because we're the ones that will work with you as far as getting you out any information that you need, especially the contracting and product materials, etc. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and close this poll down. I certainly appreciate everyone getting in on that.
Mark, can I just want to throw one thing in, because I had a producer that was at the academy, which, by the way, the IAMS Academy is tremendous for people that are really trying to expand their business. But he asked me, he said, I was in the academy before I got licensed, but I find I don't always ask the question. So what he did is he took a black marker, and at the top of his yellow pad that he uses in his appointment, he just wrote "ask about NGL," and he said, I'm the only one that knows what that means, but when I see that at the top of my pad, I know to remember to ask them, and it's led to him doing more production. So just throwing that out there to keep it on the top of your mind.
Good point. Then there's a question, what are the chargeback if a person dies a month after applying?
Full chargeback.
Okay. All right, John, I don't see any other questions in there, so looks like we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. John, appreciate you taking time here this morning. I know that you've got your own business to attend to, so thank you so much for helping us out.
I appreciate it. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to everybody, and I wish you a successful 2016.
Thank you much. Yeah, for everyone who's attending here today, we'll get this recording out to you here by the end of the day. And if you have any questions, just call us at 800-255-5055. Ask for anyone in life marketing. Have a Merry Christmas and a great weekend. Thank you much.